welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about Bitcoin. Specifically, I talk mostly about Bitcoin mining. I'm excited to make a brief little video today regarding, Bitcoin ETFs. It's a hot topic these days, and we're going to be going to Hey Apollo, which is one of my favorite sites to check on every single day for the latest news on the Bitcoin spot ETF flows, which is astonishing. Since January 10th, the US spot Bitcoin ETFs had been approved, and it changes the game, folks. So I'm looking forward to diving into this report with you. If you like Bitcoin content, Bitcoin mining content, then go ahead and hit subscribe and smash that like button. And if you're a hater, go ahead and smash that dislike button. I appreciate y'all as well. So listen, folks, we've had 5 straight weeks of net inflows into the ETFs. Unbelievable. Before that, we had a few weeks, 4 weeks of some outflows, some sad outflows. And since then, it's been all uphill, as you'll see. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you something special. I'm going to show you one of my favorite memes to tie it in with this latest newsletter. So stick around for that. Of course, the deep flow. This is just really well done. Shout out Julian for putting this thing together. And you wouldn't believe it, this is where all the data is congregated on the ETF. So instead of having to go out and search out all different sources, it's all right here on heyapollo.com. You love to see it. Mostly inflows. The trend is up and to the right. You notice a lot of outflows and hemorrhaging Bitcoin from GBTC, Grayscale, to be expected with their high fees at the moment. Let's jump into this latest newsletter. Last week was particularly impressive. 25,900 Bitcoin in inflows. Now, folks, after the halving on 420, unbelievable that if you compare the new supply, Bitcoin, of course, following that certain supply schedule, compare that 450 Bitcoin a day, and that's only 3,150 Bitcoin per week. And yet these US Bitcoin ETFs, spot ETFs, took in 25,900. Do the math on that, and that means that the new Bitcoin mined by us miners that are hashing away on our ASICs is 12% of the net ETF inflows. Or in other words, the ETFs gobbled up over 800% of the new supply. Let that sink in. Some of the individual top ETFs, like BlackRock's ETF, like Fidelity's ETF. So BlackRock took in a whopping 13,426 Bitcoin, as you can see here. iBit took in 13,426 BTC, nearly $1 billion worth of Bitcoin at present value. Of course, us Bitcoiners believe it to be worth a whole lot more than current present value, but that's what $1 billion, or almost $935 million, can buy BlackRock in Bitcoin. 13,426 coin. Now that one individual ETF took in more than 425% of the new supply. So us miners mined presumably 3,150, that's 450 a day. And BlackRock alone took in 426% of that new supply. Let's look at Fidelity. I like Fidelity. I really like their research. Strong research coming out of Fidelity Digital Assets. I'd encourage you to check that out as well. And they took in, how much? 9,634 Bitcoin. That's strong. $671 million, buys them 9,634 BTC. Astonishing. And that is over 300% of the new supply. So I'm noticing a trend here where the demand is outpacing supply. I don't know if you guys are noticing the same thing here, but this is why we make the content on the YouTube. So ARK taking over half the new supply, 59%. ARK took in 1,866 Bitcoin. Bitwise taking in 1,174 BTC. How much is that? That's 37% of the new supply with just that one ETF. So there you go. And then, of course, Grayscale's bleeding out a bit. 449 BTC net outflow for that particular week last week. But just feast your eyes on that data. I think that's pretty freaking interesting. Another thing that's covered here is just how the euphoria has not fully returned. The euphoria has not fully returned to the space, folks, because look at the Google trends that they point out here, where the price was $30K back in June, July of last year. And then at 73K, there's that much more search volume at the new high, of course. Mind you, we are only, if we look over here at Clark Moody, we are 5.8% off of that all-time high. So not too far. Party's getting started here, folks. 5.8% off of that new supply. Bada bing, bada boom. What was my point there? Yeah, so search terms. We're not even close to, of course, at the top, everybody's searching. That's when, as they point out in the article, your uncle's Uber driver goes 10x long, leveraged on the trade. But how close are we to that? I mean, if you look at these search volumes where 100 is the maximum for this index, we are well below. If you go back and you look at the all-time high, that's when there's peak interest. But right now, interest levels they're fairly tame, one might say. There's this interesting point about how these institutional funds are using futures to fill these orders and whatnot. That's an interesting part of this deep flow newsletter as well. And I thought it was interesting how hedge funds were the ones that were taking most of these trades. So 5.5 billion of the 9.6 billion in Q1 were hedge funds. That's 57%. 57% of the investment into the new spot Bitcoin ETFs. And mind you, it was approved in Q1, January 10th, I believe. 57% hedge funds taking those trades as we start to see institutions move in. I mean, retail hasn't even arrived. Watch the space. Watch the space. And that's what we're here for. We are here to watch the space and enjoy the space and have a little fun together as such. I wanted to also, as promised, I wanted to show you this meme. At the end of this report, they make an interesting point about demographics, which is in Fidelity's aforementioned excellent research that they put out over at their Fidelity Digital Assets. If you look at the age demographics, it's the boomers that generally are not much with the Bitcoin. Majority are unfavorable to their perception of Bitcoin. And on that note, I will leave you with this funny meme. But boomers need to come on board with the Bitcoin, because look at the younger demographics are getting with it. They're hip to it. They're hip to this new technology, which is not going anywhere. If you can't beat them, join them, boomers. Check this out. Check it out. So, ETFs outpacing the new supply of the Bitcoin mined. I'll sign off with this. Learn a little bit about Bitcoin every single day. I'm just a guy out here hashing around and stacking some sats. So I appreciate you guys. Smash the subscribe or the like button if you're down with it. And I appreciate y'all.